folks, we are back once again with 5 slept-on commanders. In the veritable deluge of product we get these days, we're spoiled for choice. Often before we even get to build a new deck, we're hit with new commanders, new legends, new mechanics. It can be exhausting, but it can also be exhilarating, brother. So let's dive into some commanders of days gone. But first, listen, you gotta like and subscribe. It's mandatory. You know, like in high school, dude, you gotta like and subscribe. You gotta do 10 push-ups. Then you gotta drink some water. That's calisthenics, that's hydration, and that's better commander, dude. Many thanks to the beautiful, fancy patrons. These are real salt of the earth type of folks, you know, the kind of dudes give you the shirt right off their back, give you a pizza right out of their mouth. Be careful though. You know, if you disrespect one of them, you're gonna get a knuckle sandwich right to the dome. Alright, let's start off with this guy, Lazav the Multifarious. Blue and black, legendary creature, shapeshifter. It's a 1/3. When this guy enters, surveil 1. As X, this guy becomes a copy of target creature card in your graveyard with mana value X. Except its name is Lazav, the Multifarious. It's legendary, in addition to its other types, and it has this ability. This guy, let me tell you, he can do some very nasty things. Now you might be thinking to yourself, self-mill time, right? You're better off being a little more surgical with your mill. You want to implant cards into your graveyard with precision, like Phyrexian Dreadnought out there. Look at this beast. Since Lazav just becomes a copy, it hasn't entered the battlefield, so it's just a 12/12 with trample. Or, you know, transform him into a Vector Asp, give him Infect until end of turn, then back into Phyrexian Dreadnought. Now that's pretty nasty, but that's kind of the least of it. Implant a damn Necrotic Ooze combo into the graveyard, generate infinite mana, draw your deck, power everyone out with a scalable drain spell. This guy's pretty nasty, man. I actually built this fella, then tore him apart because I felt dirty. I'm just a dirty boy. Now how about this guy, Tolam, Friend of Wolves. This guy is 2 green, white for a legendary creature, Elf Scout. It's a 3/3. When this guy enters, create Voha, Friend to Elves, a legendary 3/3 green and white wolf creature token. Whenever a wolf you control enters, you gain 3 life, and that creature fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. So with this guy out there, you're fighting, you're biting, you're making sure nobody gets to have their little setup creatures. This deck is nasty. My buddy Kevin plays this guy, and it's nuts. And of course, there are a bunch of wolves you can use, but there are cards that make wolf tokens, like this guy, Hollowhenge Overlord, 4 green, creature wolf. It's a 4/4 with flash. At the beginning of your upkeep, for each creature you control that's a wolf or a werewolf, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. This guy, you know, he's got a nicer bed than I do, be honest with you. Probably nicer than like 84% of my audience out there, let's be honest. But he's probably pooping out wolves with like a tundra with diarrhea. Plus you get to use my all-time favorite wolf out there, the Lupine Prototype. This guy has 2 generic mana, artifact creature, wolf construct. It's a 5/5. This guy can't attack or block unless the player has no cards in hand. So it's a damn wolf with power armor, dude. What do you want from me? You know, I'm a sucker for a wolf in power armor, alright? He can't attack or block, but he does come out fighting with Tolam out there. This guy, Tolam, you know, I know he's a more feminine Legolas, you know? Nothing wrong with that though, alright? But this version is pretty mean for 50 cents. You should check it out. Now we gotta get some of this British flavor in there. We got Alistair the Brigadier. This guy's 1 green, blue, and a white for a legendary creature, Human Soldier. It's a 3/3. Whenever you cast a historic spell, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. So this guy's banned. You know, artifacts, legendaries, and sagas are historic. When this guy attacks, you may pay 8. If you do, creatures you control get +X until end of turn, where X is the number of historic permanents you control. Okay, man, artifacts are historic. That's all I needed to know. You know what I'm saying? How many combos are there where you're casting infinite artifacts, looping them in and out with something like the Reality Chip, damn Joyra's familiar out there, and Sensei's Divining Top? Or get a Hullbreaker Horror out there with a Soul Ring and a 0-cost artifact like Everflowing Chalice. You're just infinitely casting artifacts and making little dudes. This guy has a mana rock payoff, and he has that rather pricey activated ability, but it gives his little soldier dudes that beefy buff. They're gonna bang in and win the game. Alright, let's move on to Smeagol, Helpful Guide. This guy's 1 black and a green, legendary creature, Halfling Horror. It's a 4/2. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died under your control this turn, the ring tempts you, Frodo. Whenever the ring tempts you, target opponent reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a land card. Put that card onto the battlefield tapped under your control, and the rest into your graveyard. I just picked this card because I want to do my Smeagol voice.
I would never hurt the master. The master has it, my precious Phyrexian dreadnought.
Now the cool thing about this guy is that he's milling your opponents, and also the cool thing about this guy is landfall and aristocrats. It's a competent aristocrats commander with a landfall theme. You slap some sacrifice outlets out there with some other stuff that makes tokens on landfall, like rampaging Baloths out there. You also want the ring to tempt you. There are about 19 cards in this color combo that help you get tempted, brother. It's interesting, and if built right, can be very powerful. Plus you get to do the Smeagol voice until someone slaps you in the back of the neck. Now let's talk about Toralf, the God of Fury. This guy's 2 red, legendary creature, God. It's a 5/4 with trample. Whenever a creature or planeswalker an opponent controls is dealt excess non-combat damage, Toralf deals damage equal to the excess to any target other than that permanent. Back is a damn hammer, but I don't really care about that. We're not worried about the hammer, alright? But I have to say, this is one of the best red cards ever printed, and the most red cards ever printed. This is Burn, makes Burn more viable. You can get really nuts with this guy, man. Beyond all that, Toralf is a 4 mana for 5/4 with trample, so we can slap in sometimes too. Worst comes to worst, you do some damage that way. Say you just have Toralf in a card like Meteor Swarm, right? Deals 8 damage to a 1/1. Then you have 7 damage, you can throw it a 2/2. He gets dealt 5 excess damage, trigger Toralf again. You get the idea, you're a smart guy out there. Cards like Blasphemous Act are game enders. Forget about it. You know, that's what Toralf says to your opponent's creatures. They're like, oh, I want to live, and he says, forget about it. Okay, one more, because I once saw a lady that looks exactly like this guy in a bar in Nashville, Tennessee. Now this is Blanca, alright, also known as the Howling Abomination. This guy's 3 red and a green for a legendary creature, human beast warrior. It's a 5/5 with haste. This guy has trample as long as you've cast 3 or more spells this turn. Whenever this becomes a target of a spell, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn and deals 2 damage to each opponent. Now this fella can be built a couple different ways. You could go the spell slinger route, make Blanca indestructible, make him bigger, cast little cantrips like expedite and charge through. You can get this deck down to like $25 that way, man, and it's actually pretty powerful. Or if you're an enchanting type of fella, you know, who likes enchantments, you can build into auras. Blanca or the Howling Abomination, whichever one you like, can be a formidable Voltron commander with auras. Enchantments have lots of payoffs in these colors. You know, lots of creatures that can wear the auras really well. This can be a really fun deck, man. Anyways, brother, I'm going to include deck lists for as many of these as I have saved to the old Mox field. Because you know what? Building commander decks is fun. It's what I do for fun, man. And eventually, I'm going to be the biggest deck builder on YouTube. You guys are going to make it happen, dude. We're marching our way to 10 million subscribers. 1 subscriber at a time. You know, we have fun here on Better Commander. We make your day better. We make your Howling Abomination even louder, dude. All the love to you and your kin. Nikki G, signing off.